Hello, everyone, and welcome at the Meticulous Moment Show, Meticulous Moments with Juanita Kapp. And this evening, we have a very, very special guest, one of my very good friends, Vince Murdocco, and we are going to have a very amazing discussion about positive things. Good energy is going to flow, and this discussion is going to open some viewpoints, and it's also going to connect some dots for people. So, welcome here, Vince. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm living in Vancouver, Canada, so the world's beautiful over here. We had a nice sunny day today. A little snow in the mountains, but nothing crazy. But every day is a good day as long as you are above ground, is what they say.
That's true. That's true. Every day is an opportunity. And I know we all have good and bad days. And I believe that we all have the capacity to take a pretty mediocre day and make it something exceptional. And that should be our mindset. And I really feel that's what you do as well, because you're always so positive and spreading such good energy. How do you do that?
Well, you know what? I got to thank my parents.
Yeah.
It all starts with good teachers, people that they don't know a disappointing day. They're never depressed. They're too busy with life.
Yeah.
And so when you're busy doing good things and raising a family and stuff like that, you don't have time to think about being depressed it's the way I've been brought up. So my father has kind of instilled that we're problem solvers, and that's very important. And I preach that to my kids. I always said, I said, there isn't a problem that we can't solve.
Yeah.
And the difference between us and the rest of the other people are some people that get frustrated over little things.
Yeah.
But we're problem solvers. So if we can't solve it, we need to just, find someone who can.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I always tell people the choices you make is the life that you live, right? And we
For sure.
choose what we give our energy to, right? So that can be positive or negative things. So what I do is if I see something negative is trying to drag me down or get me into a place where I'm, getting into a rut or where I'm feeling unsure about something, I just deny that negative energy and I choose to focus, because where our focus goes, our energy flows, right? So I focus on positive things and I just completely ignore it and it goes away. How magical is that?
Well, it's the only way to do it, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of negative people, and
Yeah.
people,
Oh my goodness.
will try to get you in that rut. So I'm the same way. As soon as someone starts talking negative, I just kind of go exit stage left. And
Yes.
I surround myself with positive people, and that's the way I go around living my life. It's important.
It is. You should make that one of your sayings.
That's right.
As soon as something
Life's
negative
too
comes
short.
to exit stage.
It really is. I have no time. I really don't. Because you know what? Misery finds misery.
Yeah.
I mean, my family owns a coffee shop, and it's 50
Yes.
years this year that we've been running it in Vancouver. So it's the oldest Italian coffee shop in the city.
That is
And
cool.
so we see lots of people, through these years. And so I've noticed a few times people that are that happy end up finding people that aren't happy as well. And it's like magnets,
Right.
it's amazing. But, everybody needs somebody, and there's somebody for everybody. So, that's what makes the world go round. You can't have everybody, smiling and having a great time. Then we wouldn't have wars.
Makes me think of the emoji movie, and also what is that movie with the little characters, Inside Out, right? There were little characters that lived. It's an animation, but these little characters lived in this little girl's mind, right? And there was joy, and she just loved to make this little girl happy all the time. But then there was disgust, and there was anger, and there was sadness. And the whole movie centers around the theme that she was living in a certain city And she was very happy because she was on this ice skating team. She had all these friends. She loved her room and her house and her school. And all of a sudden, they have to move. And now she's in this new environment and she's disgusted and she's angry. And the whole point of the movie was this little Joy character, she just wanted to run the whole show. But the point was for her development. She needed to emotionally go through the disgust and the sadness and the anger so that she could experience that personal growth. It had a lovely ending, a very positive ending, but that's a lesson in itself, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's a long lesson too.
It is. It's a
You know,
lifelong lesson.
yeah, life's a lesson. So you know what? Sometimes lessons we don't really want, but there's death that comes into a lot of things, and so
Yeah.
we can't control that. And that's a lesson in itself. But you know, it's so easy, to smile. It doesn't take much energy to do that, and to be negative, it takes a few. I think it takes a lot of emotional. You have to really focus.
Yeah.
You
Takes
know,
more energy to be negative than it does to be joyous. And I'm not joyous all the time. I have days where I'm like facing,
oh
obstacles, and
yeah,
it's life because it's life and it's, a lot of things. We're
down.
facing children and, there's lots of things going on, but I don't let it get me down
That's
for
right.
a long time. I think, like you mentioned, if we can't get a solution for it, we look for someone who can assist with
That's
that
right.
or something that can assist. I think the biggest lie, and I used to tell this to my youth groups, the biggest lie that I believe it's external influences and social media tells us is that there's only one solution to every problem. I don't believe that. I
No,
don't believe that at all.
no. I think there's a lot of solutions. It may not be right for you,
Yeah,
but it may be right for somebody else. I think
exactly.
happiness there's so many degrees, and
Yeah.
just like black belt.
True.
First degree black belt,
Levels.
second. I think with the more you indulge in anything in life, you'll find degrees of happiness, and so you got to be happy with what you got. You know,
Grateful.
yeah.
Grateful is a very important word for me. All of those joy, happiness, gratitude, they have a frequency.
Hmm.
And gratitude is actually the highest frequency that you can operate on, meaning
Wow.
that frequency, when you express gratitude, even in the little things, and I'm talking like little things, like just being alive. Let's use that
Mhm.
example, being alive for another.
Sure.
It emits an energy.
Oh, I bet.
And what the universe does is it reciprocates that energy. And you described it so well earlier. You said you've met many, many people that have this high energy, that are joyous, that come into your facility, your shop, and it's like a magnet. They are
For
drawn
sure.
to each other. And that's why, because the universe is answering. But the opposite is also true.
For sure. That's why they say in the universe you got a black hole.
Yes. Sometimes we feel like jumping into that
Wow. That's a checkout.
spiraling. Energy
Yeah.
is so important. I just believe we when I was in the ministry, for instance, they try to separate energy and spirituality, and I used to teach and I used to say I found that same meeting
Hmm.
experience revelation that I would get in worship services during worship,
Hmm.
being in the band and singing and preaching. I found that same experience in the dojo
For sure.
with the energy that was created. So we shouldn't put God in a box. He's in this little religious box, he's in this. God created science. Look what science is doing. Not all good, but look what science is doing for people that are facing health issues.
Yeah.
And they are bringing out this wonderful technology now. He created all knowledge. So I think sometimes when people, they get very, very religious about these things, I think they should just experience him on a new level. It's not about that, it's about a relationship with him. What do you think about
Well, I think that there's so many different meanings, and
that?
I think that the spirit, I find it very different. I think that there's so many levels,
Yeah.
and what I've learned is that I'm going to use this as an example.
Mm-hmm.
When you smoke marijuana, and this is just off the just a different world here. When you smoke marijuana, there's a spiritual level you get to.
Yeah.
It's creative, and a lot of people, from what I understand and reading books and stuff, they said that you get to be like you see the mother of Jesus,
Right.
the mother of Mary, the mother of God, and so that's that level. Now,
Yeah.
when you get to the point where you say you get a harder drug, let's say heroin, okay, and
Yes.
these things, like I said, just reading them from what I'm hearing from people,
Right, right.
that level is a different level. Now, when
Yes.
you get to that level and you get to where you're almost knocking on the door of death,
Right.
a lot of people, and these are stories that I've heard, they see the light, or
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden Jesus will appear to them, or some spiritual person will come to their aid of some sort. And so these people at the time are looking at this and they don't understand. They can't really understand what's going on because there's
Yes.
so many levels. But this level, so it's funny because this happened to this lady that I know. And so what happened is she was doing drugs and she ended up in a really bad place. But all of a sudden, the light came and she saw Jesus. And so she didn't understand what that level meant to her. So when
Right.
she came back, like she 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 got better and she got out of the situation she was in. And then later on, she wanted to tell people about this. So
Yes.
she started preaching. And so she started telling people that, Jesus is coming. And so she got very spiritual. And to the
Wow.
point where it was uncomfortable for people to listen to. So,
Yeah.
and I would talk to her and I happened to talk to her and she was trying to tell me this story
Yeah.
of what happened to her and the light and everything. And so I said to her, I said, so listen, I said, so you saw something special? And she goes, yes. She goes, but I need to tell you. And I said, you don't need to tell me. I
Yeah.
said, what it is, it's for you. I said, if you keep telling people, they'll think
Yeah.
you're nuts. I said,
Mm.
what's happening is you are interpreting that level
Yeah.
as because you can't understand it, that God came for you or he saved you. But
Yeah.
what he really was, you were at that knocking on the death's door.
Yeah.
And once you cross it, we wouldn't have this conversation. I said,
That's
so
right.
instead of trying to preach, I said, and tell everybody that God is coming, and people are starting to think that you're losing it.
Right.
I said, keep it to yourself. I
Yeah.
said, only the people that understand will understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
said, you got to stop, because she was going a little bit overboard,
Yeah. A
right?
little bit. Yeah.
Or
Like,
it's like a UFO. When you saw a UFO, if I saw a UFO, I go, okay, I saw a UFO, but I want to tell you, and I'm excited, and I
yes.
get it, but not everybody understands what you're talking about. So you
Exactly.
have
Some
to
people will
take
be
it
like,
back a little bit. So to her, she was in that spiritual level. So
Mhm.
there's so many levels. But like I wanted to tell her, and I said, listen, this special moment happened for you. You got Jesus saved you.
Oh,
Now stop telling people.
yeah.
I said, because right now you're like a kid that just saw a UFO. And unless you got a picture or you got evidence, they're going to think you're nuts. So you
Yeah.
got to calm down. And I tried to get her to come back to that other level, but
Yes.
there was no helping her. So it's it got out of hand. So that's the things I learned about these levels. I mean, I didn't mean to mention drugs as a
No,
but
but I think
perfect
that's a very
example
good
for
point.
people to understand that. everybody who smokes pot at one point will see the Virgin Mary. And I get it because we're still at that level where you're not,
Spiritual levels.
and you're okay. There's spiritual levels. And once you get to those levels, you have to be able to understand that some levels you can't come back from. So
That's
you know,
true.
that was just this is a little.
I agree with you. That's a very, very good point that you're making. And it
Yeah.
brings me to, it actually brought something into my mind. And I once did this sermon about communicating,
Hmm.
having a conversation with someone and then communicating on a good level, on people's different levels, but then getting to a place where you communicate effectively. That's something
Hmm.
very different.
So true.
And the next level would be making a connection with somebody, which is, it takes a long time, right? If you're
For
not
sure.
at the emotional intelligence level, like that, what you described, that was emotional intelligence. She had the
Mhm.
experience, but she didn't know how to
That's right.
digest what had
That's right. She
happened
got
to
too
her.
excited. And so
Right.
like and that and you see once in a while. I used to downtown. We have, I guess, every place downtown. There's some crazy people, and they're schizophrenic or whatever. But
Right.
some of them are preaching, and some are preaching because of that.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's kind of nice to hear, but it gets to the point where they're not really getting it across.
Right. Right.
They're you can see that something happened. And so because it's different from somebody who just decides to get a microphone and he has a speaker and he starts saying, the Lord today, he
Yeah.
said to help all you guys get out of here, and
Yeah.
I've
That's
met
a
some
difference.
good people, like some great talented people, have good conversations. And but it's very rare. Not too many people have that gift.
Yeah.
And it is a gift.
It
and
is a gift.
and I'm going to do a little plug. There's a friend of mine, and I met him. I met him because I like fish. I like,
Okay.
so this gentleman had some piranhas, and I like piranhas. And so I
Piranha.
was intrigued by that when I was a kid. So I bought his whole fish tank, and he had like 6 large piranhas, well, that big. And so I bought his fish tank, and his name was Jeremy Chang. And he's very religious, and he's Chinese, but he's English Chinese.
Right.
He was raised in Canada. So now he's doing a podcast, a religious one, and he's so talented. Like a couple of times I watch him on Facebook a little bit, and just to see what he's doing, because this is, and I also taught him martial arts. What
Oh.
happened was, when we did the exchange of the fish and stuff, I said, listen, let me give you something that I got. And so he goes, what's that? I said, do you know how to fight? And he goes, no. I said, well, let me teach you how to fight to protect yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay. So we started to train. And so that's how our relationship started. But now I watch him on Facebook, and I see
Yeah.
him all the time. And he's got such a great way of describing things.
Yeah.
Like, he talks about the Bible, but he talks about the Bible where you can understand it, and
Yeah.
even the person across the street understands it. Like,
Right.
he's just got this down to earth style.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's and I've watched him now for, I think he's been on for 4 years maybe,
Okay.
but
Good.
he's just amazing. And like I said, so a couple of times I went on his thing. When I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, I sent him a text, because they listen to things and they whatever. And so I sent him, I said, hey, by the way, this is Vince Murdocco. I just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. And he like stops the show and he goes, oh my God, I just got a text from Vince Murdocco. I got to tell you a story about this guy. He goes, how we met. And
Yeah.
so he told him that I bought his piranhas. And then after that, he goes, yeah. And okay. He goes, I started doing martial arts and by training with Vince Murdocco, and he goes, I got really good too. And so it was just so lighthearted. He brought it on the show, and I
Right.
thought to myself, way to go, buddy. You know what? And like I said, some people have a gift.
Yeah, they can translate that.
Yes, and just the way he describes things, and what happened was, I told him the first time that we were talking, and he got a little bit godlike. He was talking about the Bible and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to tell you something, buddy. You really described it beautiful. I said, some
Wow.
people, they say it and they just can't translate it into like plain
Yes.
English. I said, but you know what? I said, you got a gift, man. I said, keep going. And he's been doing it for
Wow.
years now. And so I just saw him. I just saw a little clip of him before I got to you, and I thought, you know what, this guy he's got it going on. I don't even know. I think he hit a million followers. I don't know what he hit. He hit a milestone, and I'm not too familiar with the Facebook thing, right?
Yeah.
But I he hit a milestone, and it's pretty cute because he comes from a big family, but he brings his sister in the show. And I said, listen, buddy, bring your sister more often. I said, because you and her, I said, for some reason got great chemistry. And then I think he just brought his mom last week. So
that is a very unique approach. That is a very, very unique approach. Preaching is like storytelling. It's a storytelling. You have to, and we talked about the connection, right?
Yeah.
He connects with his audience.
So good. Like, honestly, I told him that one time, whatever he was talking about, I said, that's the first time actually I said that I heard somebody make sense of the Bible. Because when you read the Bible, it's
very deep.
Very deep. So there's a lot of meaning in it. So when you read it, you could go left or right, but he decided to make it simple, and that's the best description I can tell you about this guy. And he's got this microphone. He holds this microphone, and it's funny because it's not even a microphone. It's the weirdest thing. And then he'll go into say, okay, let's just say it. Let's just have some music right now. And in the background, he goes, let's just pray a little bit. And I'm looking at him going, wow, this guy just, like 5 minutes goes by. And goes, I think that's enough now. I mean, it's just amazing. And like I said, I've heard a lot of preachers, and I've seen a lot of people try.
Yeah.
For some reason, he's got it down, and it's amazing. I'm just shocked that I have a friend that's, we're not talking. Some people go and, ride bikes. Some, go, you're going to be a singer. You want to be a rock star.
Right.
But, what he's doing
is
almost the hardest thing in the world.
Yes.
You're trying to, and God bless him. You know what? He's done great.
He grabs his audience because, the way that he does it, but he's so laid back. It feels like he's a very relaxed person in the flow. This is chill.
You see him, like I said, I love him to death. But like he'd be the last guy you think that's going to be talking religion. And it's just amazing. And so, once in a while, I like I said, when I'm on Facebook and I see him, I stop and listen to him for a little bit. I don't make myself known because I don't want him to feel, But like I said, he's very, very entertaining, and some people just got the gift,
Yeah, they just got it. It's an anointing. I'll tell you that. It's an anointing.
Because what happens is when I start talking, people are going, okay, you're getting a little heavy now. I said, well, I even, like I said, the last time we were talking, there's a lot of people that talk about God. A lot of people talk about different things. I said, but when you talk too much, people change the channel.
Right.
Because they're going to go, oh boy, here we go again. He's preaching.
If it's repetitive.
Or you feel like you're going to church. And people have a very misconception. When you go to church, it's like a robot.
Yeah.
You go, you do, then you leave. So people, some people aren't, they don't
They
get it.
don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want that
Structure.
traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want more
Structure.
like they want to understand why they're there.
Well, they want to
They
make the
want to
choice.
understand, they want to understand why they're there, and they want to learn. But I think, and you mentioned that, and that's very. I want to remind me to tell you about the pastors that I stood with the one day, but they want to be able to understand what they're learning, because I think sometimes pastors get too technical, right? So they
Well,
speak
they're deep.
right over the heads of the
Oh, yeah.
congregation, and
Well, there's
everybody's
no
like,
connection. Yeah, no, for sure. Where do you go with that one?
yeah, they don't understand how to take what they heard and to apply it in their life. So what I used to do is I make everything practical, and
Yeah.
I use examples, right? So I'll tell the story in my own words from the Bible, give the scripture is on the screen, but I'll tell it in my own words, and then I'll say it's like if something like this or this or this would happen in your life. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've been through that, or we have to make sure people understand. Now, I was at a conference. We were voting that year. We vote, all the pastors vote every year, every 5 years, for the new presidents and the new, the um the liturgy of the church, the main boards and everything. And I was standing there with a lot of them that have doctorates. Now, I studied up to master's level, but I didn't start my doctorate yet. So they were all there, had their doctorates, and it was almost like speaking to a wall, because I think people get to that place where they are so
Too smart. They're all
educated,
caught up
they
in
can't
themselves.
have a normal conversation anymore.
Yeah,
It's
I have a couple.
horrible.
I've got a couple of kids who are smart. Like my oldest son, he's really smart, and so I'm listening to him, and a couple of times I look at him and I go, "Bro, listen, I got a computer. What are you saying?" And, um, and that's what happens. They're in a different level,
Yeah.
and it's good to see, because you want everything, your
You
family
want them to
further
excel.
than we did, but but yeah, no, I don't understand half the things he says.
Now let's back up a little bit, because I'm pretty sure I heard this right. Did you buy 6 piranhas from this friend of yours the
I
whole
bought
thing?
six. I bought six from him, and then I ended up with 25 and
Piranhas.
piranhas, but like big. Like what happened was I raised a few of them. They were about this big, and then they got
Right.
this big, and so I had a 600-gallon tank.
Oh, it was big.
Yeah, so you can't have little. You got to have a good tank. So I had a
Yeah.
600-gallon tank, and I had these piranhas. And what I liked about them were because piranhas are really different. They're red bellies, and when you look them up, the bottoms are red, and they got like a pit bull like snout, and it's like ramming. It's just amazing. So I'd go to the pet stores and I'd say hi. I'd buy it for the goldfish and stuff, but then they're big. These is like
Right.
25 of them I've got, so now I got to feed them. So I'd go to the pet shop and I'd say, listen, you see that big fish you got, that you just got turned in? Because you know how people, when they raise fish, they start out this big and then they end up this big, and they go,
Yeah.
oh, I can't keep these anymore.
Yes.
So they give it to the pet store. So I
Right.
would go to the pet store and buy those and put it in the fish tank and film it while my piranhas would eat it. And I put a few on. I put an octopus in there. I put a trout. I put a salmon. They love salmon. But what happens is, if and this is because when you get 25, now you imagine
It's a
25,
lot of
they're
ones
not
to feed.
small. Like, I see a lot of people. They have the internet and they got their fish, and they have a lot of little piranhas, but they're all about this big.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Mine were like nice size, and so what I did was I just enjoyed them, but I never put gravel on the bottom. And what I did was I put a huge jet, so it was like a stream.
Right.
So what it was like, I don't know if the Amazon is like running 100 miles an hour, but this thing would blow the water.
Like a stream.
So it's a stream. So they could never really just find a calm place to just relax. Because
Right.
most piranhas you see, if you go to the zoo or anywhere, they're just sitting there, no movement.
Huh.
They're just all there. Mine was like a river. They were always moving. So they were healthier because they were doing
Good, good,
exercise.
good. They were active.
Very active. But I didn't put any gravel on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
What happens is once they start eating, they shake things and say like all this food would go everywhere, like the meat or whatever, and then it would land in the gravel, and then it would rotten eventually, and then that'll cause prawns to eventually die because of bacteria.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't put anything, and I just had it like a river, and so that these guys would just constantly eat, and it would just keep flowing. Yeah.
That's very interesting. That is very interesting.
I mean, at the time, I thought this is good. They always say, fish are soothing, and I was just going, okay, this is good. They're eating a whole salmon. Maybe one day I can throw my problem in there, but no, it was just fun.
Okay, so I've seen piranhas on movies, but I really did not think people keep them as pets.
Let me see.
That is very, very interesting.
Yeah, a couple of them. What happened? I know I got them on somewhere. Yeah, because you can buy them and they're like preserved.
That is so cool. And then what you described was a gravel, not putting the gravel there. So the meat that they don't eat,
that's right,
would just fall there, but you eliminated that problem.
That's right, because then it would be too hard to clean.
I'm sure. I don't even know how someone would clean.
Beautiful. I wonder where the hell excuse me.
No problem. You look for it. No problem.
No, because I know I've got it somewhere. I'll find it. What happens is I have 3 or 4 that are preserved.
So you still have them?
No.
No.
They died. What ended up happening was because I had this huge, what do you call it, kind of eco system going, and underneath the fish tank I had another 300-gallon like a sump, so it would go from the fish tank down underneath.
Oh,
it would just keep flowing. So that's how you keep the thing working. And one day the power outage went, something happened, and the city went black. So the pump stopped. Now with these fish, because they're big fish, and in any aquarium, when the power goes out, you need to generate some type of movement of the water. And if you don't, what happens is then they start losing oxygen. And so,
oh no.
So what happened is the power went out, but when the power went back on, the suction of the thing grabbed one piranha and it held it in the suction. So that the ecosystem would be going like this. So it's like and so it held it and then it plugged it up. So what happened is then they all died. Because the fish got caught. I'm
sorry.
It's like the drain. He got caught in the drain and everybody died. So when I came home that night, I knew the power went out, but I knew I'm like, oh my God, it's all my work. Like, and we're talking, I had these things for like 10 years.
Oh no, that's horrible.
So I had 2 buckets full of prawns. And my brother goes, you might as well fry them now. They're pretty big, right?
Right.
Because, in the Amazon, they eat them. I said, why don't you eat them? I go, are you crazy? This is my fish. I got names for these guys.
You can't eat them once you've named them. No.
So what I ended up doing is I because if you ever go to Amazon, I'm going to find the thing sooner or later. But what it is they keep them preserved, and then you can see the teeth. So that's all this big, and you see them. So I kept a few, and they're in my freezer. So my brother goes, "You're nuts." And I go, "Thank you." Well,
Well, it's the same as having an animal and taking it to the taxidermy. No different.
I've got an owl in my freezer right now.
A what?
Owl. A barn owl.
Oh.
What happened is my friend phones me up at 4:30 in the morning. He says, "Vinny, I said, what? He goes, I just saw an owl get hit by a car. I said, what'd you do? He goes, well, I went and helped the owl get off the road and I put it in the bush.
Hmm.
I said, is it still alive? He goes, a little. I don't think it would be alive for long.
Oh.
I said, well, where'd you put it? He goes, in the bush. I said, well, come on, let's go find it. I went back and I found it. And I put it in my freezer because I'm going to get a taxidermy.
But listen, that's gonna look so beautiful when it's done.
When
That is gonna look so
young, so I lived near a high rise, and a hawk hit the building, and a beautiful blue-eyed hawk. And so my kids were like 2 years old. They go, "What's that, Dad?" I said, "That's a bird." "What kind of bird is that?" "That's a beautiful bird, Dad." I said, "Yeah, it's gorgeous." He says, "It's a hawk." I said, "How often do you see a hawk run into a building?"
Exactly.
So I took the hawk and I brought it to the federal, whatever, the reserves and stuff.
Right.
They have to look at it. They check it out and they go, "Okay, give me $15. We'll give you a permit. You can go get a taxidermy."
Oh,
Taxidermy, and it's sitting in my TV room right now. It's got his arms.
Wow, was it got a nice wingspan and everything? That's
I'll go get it. I'll be right back.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll find the piranha. So this is my hawk.
Oh, that's beautiful. Poor little bird eye. That's beautiful. At least now the beauty of it can live on.
I put a little caterpillar in. Yeah, listen, I want you to do this.
What is that?
It's my bunny.
It's a live bunny?
Live bunny.
Oh my goodness.
You want to know what my bunny's name is?
Yes.
Cappuccino.
What is his name?
Cappuccino.
Cappuccino. Well, I've had cats and dogs on the show, but never a bunny. So this is the first.
He's good. He's good. He's very cute.
He's adorable.
He's so cute.
Very big.
Well, he came this big.
Is it a bunny or a hare?
Yeah, he's so cute.
Oh,
very smart. What he does is when I walk in the house,
right,
he runs around my legs in circles. Like if I stand still, he keeps running, and then he'll stop and he'll turn around and do the other way. I'm looking at this. Wow, happy to see me.
Very smart, very smart.
When I don't know if it's smart, sometimes I want to throw him, in the kitchen.
Does he bite the cables? No?
No. Thank God.
He's a good pet to have.
No, he's a very good bunny.
We had, when my kids were small, I believe my daughter was like 9. My son was 9 months old. We had a hare.
Yeah, so hares are fast bunnies.
Oh, yes. And his name was Hansi. And every day I would stop at home at the same time from work, and he would be sitting, and he loved our yard, but he would be sitting outside the yard by the gate waiting for me. But he was very, 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 very naughty. He used to bite all the cables in the house.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. They're very smart. Everything. Yes, everything. He just couldn't help it. But
he's good. This one's good.
Ended up biting him, so he passed. But the kids really enjoyed him. They're the fast ones with the long legs.
Oh yeah, the hares are fast.
Yeah.
This one's a jumper. He jumps on everything. He jumps up. Like you think that he can't make it in 2 seconds. I have a freezer. Those standout freezers.
Yeah.
So one day I hear bang. I'm like, what the hell? He's on the freezer. So you're talking.
He jumped on the freezer? He's big to be jumping that high.
4.5 feet at least. And I'm going, he can't get on the freezer. And I hear the lamp hit the floor. And I go, oh my God, he's on the freezer.
He did it.
So he's a jumper. He doesn't look like much. But what he likes to do is get on boxes. So if I put a box anywhere, he will get in that box and stand there. And then he'll look at me. And I'm going, what are you doing, Cappuccino? Get off the box, man.
They're just like children. They're just like
Well,
children.
yeah,
I used to buy my kids presents,
children are a little
and
more
they'll play with
crazy,
the
but
box
yeah,
and not the
they're cute.
present.
They're all cute. Something to
God
do.
speaks to us through animals, and you were talking about the water with the piranhas and the tank, and what happens to the, if it goes stagnant,
That's right.
and just come, to talk about your friend that relates life to the Bible. What happens? I want to ask the audience as well. What happens to a pool of water that is stagnant? What happens to that water? Is it drinkable? Does it stay fresh? No, it doesn't. The answer would be no, because there is no movement, there is
No
no
life.
oxygen going through, right?
No
But what
life.
happens to a river that flows? There is movement,
And
kinetic
what's life?
energy.
What's
Yeah, it's fresh, right? And the Bible speaks about that. The Word of God being the
that's right.
living water, right? And that's why
Right.
we praise and we worship and we sing, and we are working on
Baptized in water.
the body. Yes, life-giving water. So I'm very happy to hear that your friend is making such an impact, and that you are in your, I don't think, maybe you've thought of this before, maybe not, but the shop, your coffee shop, your facility, that is your
Oh, it's our institution for
place
sure.
where you mentor people, where you
Oh,
give
for sure.
them, you know what I mean? Where you give them positive insights, where you create that. Why do they go there? Because they enjoy the good energy, they enjoy
Oh,
the
for sure.
positivity.
Yeah, I've been told many times by a bunch of our customers that, I'm so positive, and then they're so happy when they leave. And how do I do it? And I said, well, good coffee usually helps to get you waking up.
Yes.
We get up early, 5:30 in the morning. So, but yeah, no, it's like I said, my family's a they're happy people,
Yeah.
and so they've instilled that on us. And so when somebody says to me, "How do you feel?" It's never, "Oh, I don't know." It's like fantastic.
Yep.
Like I have never said, "Oh no, no." I mean, I don't know that. I
Yep.
only know one thing, and it's positive, and you know, and if you talk positive, what happens is you become positive.
Yep.
So the more that you use positive words, the more that you're gonna start feeling better. And it's
Yes.
funny. We had this one customer. He would say to me, he goes, like, how do I beat fantastic? He goes, Vince, you're fantastic. How do I beat fantastic? I go, you can't, but you can say you're doing great.
Yeah.
And every day I'd ask him, hey, how you doing, Oscar? And he would say, I'm fantastic, even if he wasn't. And he started to feel fantastic.
That's
And that's
very
the power,
important.
you know, just good, positive words. When
Yeah.
you use in a positive manner, even if you're in the worst mood of your life and you say, I'm having a fantastic day, and you're not, it'll turn around and start being fantastic,
That's
because it
true.
can only go one way.
That's
You know,
true.
yeah.
That's science. It's not just, it's spiritual, but it's also science. I'll tell you why. I learned this a very long time ago.
Mhm.
They did a study. They took two exact same glasses. They took 2 cups of rice. They put it in the glasses. Took two of the measurements of the exact same water. They poured it in the glasses at the exact time. And this was the scientific experiment. For 21 days, when they stood in front of the left glass, let's say the left glass, the one glass, they would just say shameful, negative things,
That's right.
curse words, things that are negative,
That's right.
anything that's
Sure.
opposite of positive, right? So for 21 days they did that to that glass, and just for the on the other side they did the exact opposite. They told the glass how beautiful it was,
That's
and
right.
the rice is so white and the water
And
looks so
sing into
fresh.
it.
It's got potential, it's amazing, it's nice to look at. Do you know what happened after 21 days to the glass on the left?
Yeah, it died.
Water. It was moldy and murky, and it was
That's right.
green. And that same glass that was on the other side of the counter that had received all that good energy,
Yeah.
It looked like the first day it was poured in
That's right.
fresh.
Oh, nice.
Nothing murky, not even white, anything, just a clean.
Yeah. No,
All
it's
made
amazing.
out of water too.
Yeah. No, for sure. You talk to a plant. Plants are like
Walk
that
the
too.
plants,
You talk to plants.
animals, other people, other people. So very, very important. Positivity is key. Great energy is key. Put that smile on, guys. Go out tomorrow and make someone's day. And like Vince
Right.
said, even if it's not a great day, say it's a great day because it will
That's right.
change. Now,
That'll
you
make
said
you feel
something.
better.
It'll make you feel better. And as we
I
come to
will.
the close of this session, I want to say I think the tagline should be if negativity, and these are your words,
Yes.
negativity approaches, you just say exit stage left.
Exit stage left. I got no time for this. And I actually told the guy yesterday. I said, "Listen," and he was trying to tell me something like negative, and I said, "Listen, bro, I got no time for this." I just walked away. And he looked at me, and goes, ah.
Not happening.
It's just really I don't. The older I get, the less time I have
Yeah.
to. If it's not like beautiful, if it's not a beautiful song, I can't really listen to it. I gotta say, yeah, cut, director. I gotta go.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Vince, thank you so much for making time for this. This is what we're going to do every week, and this is what we give back.
Well, I'm going to be coming. I'll get ready because next time I'll have some good props.
Thank you so much for sharing and for telling us stories and for, just being positive and being a part of this, because this is going to change. Someone had to hear this evening, and it changed the course of their day. And I'm grateful. Thank you very much, my friend. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
See you at the next session, guys. Bye, Vince. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Ciao.